All right there, everyone. Hundreds of illegal migrants shut down a terminal at the Paris airport, declaring that France does not belong to the French. That's what we'll be talking about on today's video. And not only that, we're going to look at the implications of this stunt for the upcoming European elections. But first, this video is kindly sponsored by Virtual Shield, one of the easiest and fastest virtual private networks, or VPNs, around. A VPN protects your internet connection from hackers and identity theft by disguising your IP address. You can see as I'm logging onto the VPN that my IP address is going to change, which disguises my location and prevents prying eyes from getting access to my computer. Now, Virtual Shield is offering a Memorial Day special, 30% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons for as low as $3 per month. And you can even sign up for a free 30-day trial to try it out for yourself. This is a limited time offer, so click on the link in the description below and get your own VPN today. All right, this past Monday was unusual to say the least at the Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. Hundreds of illegal migrants stormed into Terminal 2, effectively shutting it down and demanding permanent residency in France. The protest was called on all airlines, but particularly Air France, to stop any financial, logistical, or political participation in deportations. The several hundred protesters claimed that they wanted to draw attention to the plight of illegal aliens in France, and said that they wouldn't let anyone board their planes until all of their demands were met, particularly that of stopping all deportations. And at one point, you hear a migrant yelling that France does not belong to the French. Instead, everyone has a right to be here. Interestingly enough, this group of illegal migrants called themselves the Black Vests, playing off of the fact that, well, first they were all of African origin on the one hand, but of course, playing off the Yellow Vests, who've been protesting Emmanuel Macron's globalist policies for 6 months straight now. But while the Yellow Vests are protesting globalization, these Black Vests were protesting that there wasn't enough globalization, that border security was too strict. So, of course, these two are without question, fundamentally opposite demonstrations. They also wanted to raise awareness over what they considered to be as subpar conditions that illegal immigrants were subject to throughout France. Now, I gotta be honest with you, okay? If what happened in Austria with Heinz-Christian Strache was an obvious setup to sway the European elections, just a couple of days in favor of the globalists, this stunt in Paris had to be orchestrated and choreographed by nationalist populists. I mean, they couldn't have wished for a greater gift on the week of the European elections. They could not have dreamt up a more appropriate and stark reminder of what precisely these elections are all about. I mean, it had to be. I bet they were all paid, and if you followed the money, you would find all the checks were written by Marine Le Pen, right? I'm telling you. Now, of course, I'm being facetious here, but it does raise, I think, a very interesting point. These demonstrations really are stark reminders of what the European elections are all about this week. Now, if you've been a regular viewer of this channel, and make sure you subscribe if you're not, but you know that a major trend dominating these European parliamentary elections is what we call here post-security politics. It's extremely important to understand where we are today on the global political stage, this notion of post-security politics. Post-security politics is driven by 3 major forms of insecurity that have arisen over the last few decades as a result of the anti-national, anti-cultural dynamics inherent in globalization. In many respects, these 3 forms of insecurity all intertwine with one another. They reciprocate. The nation state historically offered its citizens 3 forms of security by which they could live out a safe and meaningful life. And these 3 forms of security were border security, where we felt safe from invasion; economic security, where we were given a stable economy for maximum material conditions; and cultural security, where our religion, our customs, our traditions, our language, our distinctive ways of life were protected and celebrated to ensure a meaningful life, okay? Transnational globalization destroys all 3 forms of security by its very nature. Because globalism is transnational, it renders borders irrelevant, both in terms of electronic money as well as unprecedented immigration rates. Globalism destroys economic security by virtue of what's called a global division of labor, where manufacturing and industry are relocated to third world nations, all the while finance is reallocated around first world urban centers, leaving rural areas with extremely high levels of unemployment. And finally, globalism is perhaps most infamous for killing off distinctive cultures, customs, and traditions with a consumer-based culture that pushes progressive lifestyle values at the expense of traditional culture and customs, all the while the culture is being eradicated by massive immigration levels. And so you could see that post-security politics forms sort of a self-contained loop where each insecurity feeds into the other. And so these three insecurities have inordinately contributed to a massive worldwide backlash against globalization, against its aristocracy. And so that's why we're seeing the collapse of the political center, which is the aristocracy that acts as the custodian of globalization, the manager. Now, what's so key here is that this post-security politics explains very, very well why we've seen such an extraordinary rise in the nationalist populist right throughout Europe and the United States. The nationalist populist right is responding very effectively to each and every one of these three insecurities. They want stringent border enforcement and migration overhaul. They want to institute some form of economic nationalism and protectionism, right? And they want to protect the key identity markers of a nation, its culture, its customs, and traditions for the respective populations. This is why Matteo Salvini's nationalist populist Italian League is projected to win the most seats of any party represented in the European Parliament. Not just the Italian League, but also the populist Five Star and the Nationalist Brothers of Italy, headed by the amazing Giorgia Meloni. I heard her speak as well as Salvini speak in Verona, Italy. I mean, they rocked the roof off the place. They were incredible, the kind of energy that they were able to generate among the audience, like a Trump rally, you know? This is why we're seeing Thierry Baudet's Forum for Democracy become the #1 most popular party in the Netherlands. They're projected to win the single most seats when the Dutch vote happens on the 23rd of May. This is why we're seeing the Brexit Party, which is only weeks old, continue to surge into the stratosphere of popularity, beating both Labour and Tories combined. They're closing in at 40% support. More than 1 in 3 Brits will be voting for the Brexit Party on the 23rd. This is why Marine Le Pen's National Rally has surged past Macron's and Marsh. This is why Viktor Orban's Fidesz Party in Hungary, Law and Justice in Poland, they're both poised to just storm Brussels. It's going to be an utter bloodbath precisely because of what we're seeing here with these illegal immigrant protests in Paris. There's really just no two ways about it. People want their borders secured. They want their jobs protected, and they want their cultures, customs, and traditions celebrated, revered, and honored, not replaced. They fully recognize that you can't support both unfettered immigration on the one hand and a sustainable welfare state and social services for citizens on the other. That's what's killing the political left, by the way. What's killing the political left is the incompatibility between their support for migrants on the one hand and their support for the welfare state on the other. More and more populations recognize those are mutually exclusive projects. And that's why you're even seeing now left-wing parties like the Danish Liberal Democrats and the German Die Linke Party, which means the left. They've both committed themselves to closing their respective borders and tending instead to the needs, the social needs of their citizens. So we're really seeing an absolute triumph here of post-security politics in redefining the politics of Europe. And there could have been no better picture of why post-security politics have been so triumphant than Terminal 2 and the Charles de Gaulle Airport this past Monday. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to support our sponsor, Virtual Shield, by visiting their website and taking advantage of their 1-month free service. Check out some of our new merchandise on the links below, celebrating all things nationalist, populist, and traditionalist. We've got coffee mugs and t-shirts that you're going to love. And please click on either our Patreon, Subscribe Star, PayPal links below and consider becoming a monthly supporter of this channel and help us to continue to analyze current events in light of awesome conservative trends so that you can personally and professionally flourish. God bless.